How much higher can car prices possibly climb? The average new vehicle now costs over $50,000, with used cars well above $27,000, and loan lengths are stretching close to 7 years. Monthly payments, insurance, and maintenance add hundreds more each month. For millions, owning a car, once a basic expectation, now feels out of reach. Yet behind the headlines about prices finally cooling, there is a far more disturbing reality about why costs remain sky-high and why relief may be further away than anyone thinks. Wholesale used car prices have dropped about 12% since their 2022 peak, according to the Manheim Index. That is the stat making headlines. And on paper, it looks like relief is finally on the way. But the story those numbers tell is only half the picture. The Manheim Index tracks what happens at dealer auctions, where used cars change hands between businesses, not ordinary buyers. It is a measure of what dealers pay, not what consumers see on the lot or online. Charlie Chesbrough, chief economist at Cox Automotive, puts it bluntly: there may not be a lot of customers behind you. Even as wholesale prices ease, the pool of buyers who can actually afford a car is shrinking. The so-called cooling is mostly happening in the auction lanes, not at the dealership. Most of the cars that actually sell are the ones dealers know they can move quickly, often higher-priced models or those with special incentives. The rest, especially the affordable options, are not selling at all. So while the Manheim graph slopes downward, the reality for retail shoppers is much less forgiving. The majority of affordable used cars are either snapped up instantly or never make it to the public market. The drop in auction prices does not mean a flood of bargains is about to appear. It just means the cars that do sell are doing so at slightly lower prices, while the real shortage continues quietly in the background. On dealer lots, the story is even starker. US inventory remains stuck at about 2/3 of its pre-pandemic level, according to Cox Automotive. That means fewer choices for buyers, especially anyone searching for something affordable. A new car priced under $25,000, once a staple of every dealership, has almost vanished. In 2019, you could find half a dozen new models priced under that threshold on most lots. Today, those slots now sit empty or have been replaced by used vehicles, sport utility vehicles, or higher trim versions with price tags edging toward $30,000 and beyond. Dealer counts confirm the squeeze. National surveys show the number of available new vehicles priced under $25,000 has dropped by more than 90% since 2019. The Mitsubishi Mirage, one of the last holdouts, ends US sales this year. Models like the Chevy Spark, Ford Fiesta, and Hyundai Accent are already gone. Even the base trims of compact sedans now start well above $22,000, and that is if you can find one at all. For buyers walking the lot or scrolling online, the supposed cooling in car prices feels like a mirage. The affordable segment has been stripped bare. Most of what is left are higher-margin sport utility vehicles, pickups, and crossovers, with luxury badges filling in the gaps. The ladder into new car ownership has lost its lowest rungs, leaving millions priced out before they even start negotiating. Automakers have not just run out of cheap cars, they are still wrestling with the fallout from years of supply chain chaos. The global chip shortage that once shut down assembly lines has eased, but it has not disappeared. Factories are still scrambling for enough semiconductors to keep production humming, and the backlog from those lost years lingers. Jessica Caldwell, a leading auto analyst, points out that manufacturers prioritize their most profitable models during the shortage, sending what chips they had toward luxury SUVs and trucks. The result? Affordable cars never caught up, and the pipeline for budget models remains dry. Raw materials have not offered any relief. Steel prices are up nearly 30% since 2019, and the cost of aluminum, plastics, and even paint has climbed. Add in higher energy bills and new union contracts, and the price to build each car keeps rising, regardless of what is happening in the auction lanes. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, material and labor inflation have added thousands to the average sticker price since the pandemic began. Financing is another pressure point. The average annual percentage rate for a new car loan now hovers around 8%. That means even if the sticker price stands still, the monthly payment soars. For many, the difference between a 4% and 8% loan is over $100 a month, enough to tip a car from barely affordable to out of reach. Meanwhile, owners who locked in low rates before the pandemic are holding on to their cars longer than ever. The average vehicle on American roads is now 12.6 years old, a record high. Caldwell notes that this trend clogs up the used market, shrinking supply and keeping prices stubbornly high. Take Sarah, a Dallas buyer who went to trade in her old sedan, but found even a basic used Corolla cost more than she paid for a year of rent back in 2015. She decided to keep her car running, joining millions of others who are waiting out the storm. The result? Fewer trades, tighter supply, and a market where every affordable car is spoken for before it ever hits the lot. Automakers have quietly rewritten the rules of the car market, and the changes start at the bottom. Entry-level sedans and hatchbacks, the classic starter cars, are nearly extinct. Since 2019, models like the Mitsubishi Mirage, Chevy Spark, Ford Fiesta, and Hyundai Accent have vanished from showrooms. Even the rare survivors like the Nissan Versa are sold in limited numbers, often in pricier trims. Carl Brauer, a leading industry analyst, notes that inventory for new cars under $25,000 has dropped by more than 90% in just 6 years. The decision was not driven by lack of demand. Dealers say they could sell every affordable car they get, but manufacturers have shifted focus to SUVs, trucks, and luxury models that deliver thousands more in profit per vehicle. Financing has become the next profit lever. Scott Painter, a veteran of the auto retail world, points out that the typical new car loan now stretches to 72 or even 84 months. This is not about making cars cheaper, it is about making them seem affordable on a monthly basis. Dealers advertise low payments, but the real cost balloons over time. Nearly 1 in 5 new car buyers now signs up for a payment north of $1,000 a month, often without realizing how much interest and add-ons are rolled into the deal. Dealer power has also grown. Small independent lots are fading as mega groups consolidate the business. With fewer competitors, market adjustment fees and mandatory add-ons have become routine. The Federal Trade Commission has logged a spike in complaints about hidden costs and forced financing. Meanwhile, manufacturers learned a lesson from the pandemic: keep supply tight and profits soar. Executives on earnings calls now openly talk about disciplined supply, choosing higher margins over higher sales. 5 automakers now control more than 70% of the US market, giving them the power to set the pace and the price for everyone else. 5 automakers now control more than 70% of new car sales in the United States. That level of dominance means every production decision, every supply hiccup sends shockwaves through the market. When one of these giants pauses a factory, the effect isn't local, it's nationwide. In late 2023, General Motors shut down its Orion Township plant in Michigan for an 18-month overhaul, halting production of the Chevrolet Bolt, the most affordable electric vehicle in General Motors' lineup. That single move erased tens of thousands of budget-friendly cars from the market. Fiona Scott Morton, a leading economist, describes this kind of concentration as a recipe for slow response and sustained high prices. With so much power in so few hands, the market's ability to recover from shortages is stunted. The result? Even minor disruptions can keep prices elevated for everyone, for far longer than simple supply and demand theory would predict. Singapore sets the global high bar for car ownership costs. Before a buyer even picks out a car, they are on the hook for a certificate of entitlement, essentially a government-issued license to own a vehicle. In 2025, that single piece of paper regularly costs over $100,000. Add in the price of the car itself, and the total can soar past $150,000 for a basic sedan. Norway takes a different route, piling on taxes and fees that can turn a $40,000 car into a $70,000 purchase, unless you buy electric, and even those exemptions are shrinking. In parts of Africa and South Asia, the math is even harsher. A new car can cost more than 10 times the average annual income, making ownership a fantasy for most. Compared to these extremes, the US still looks almost forgiving, but the gap is closing. Today, 5 companies control over 70% of the United States car market, and most affordable models are gone. As automakers chase profit over access, mobility risks becoming a luxury, not a right. The road ahead isn't just about price. It's about who gets to drive it at all.